To me, success was important, but you know what? I think this is true for almost everybody in the room. I think you have to love what you do. If you don't love what you do, you're not going to be successful. And I loved what I did. I did real estate. I went in early. When I talked about success, I always started, you have to do something you love. If you don't do what you love, you're most likely not going to be successful. And you know, you're going to have a lot of people, your parents included, they're going to be saying, don't do that, don't do that. And you have to listen to them. They're wise, they've been around, they've seen. And sometimes, and I tell people, sometimes they go into a business where basically you can't be successful. Nobody's successful. If you can get away from that, get away from it, if you can. But you have to make sure that you do something that you love. Try to go into something that you love that can be a good business. So, a lot of people go into businesses that don't work, are just not good. When I was young, I wanted to, my father built in Brooklyn and Queens, the boroughs, and he did a great job. He was a very strong guy, but a good guy, a guy with a tremendous heart, but he was strong, very powerful type of personality. And he'd build single-family housing, whatever he built, but he'd save the nails and the sawdust and the chips of wood, and he'd take them and sell them. It's like extreme. But he was very extreme. I'll give you a quick story. We have apartment buildings, and I walked to my father's desk in Brooklyn. This is a long time, I was young. And there's a picture of a roach, a cockroach, on a can, like a paint can, a 5-gallon paint can, and it's sitting on his desk. I said, Dad, what the hell is that? The cockroach was turned upside down, dead. And it said, the name of the product was Bye Bye Roach. And my father said, this stuff is the greatest stuff we've ever used, but it's too expensive. I don't like it. I'm sending it up to your uncle at MIT. They're going to analyze it. He's going to send it back and tell me what ingredients are in. I said, what are you doing, Dad? He said, I can save $4 a gallon. I say, Pop, is it really worth it? He said, it's worth it. That's the way you make money. And to a certain extent, it's not penny wise. You got to save the pennies. You got to be, that's a great thinking. He wants to take something that's expensive, that's good, and send it up to a laboratory at MIT, find out what the ingredients are, because he can save a couple of dollars a gallon.
Years from now, some of them may look back and ask themselves whether they've made the right choice, whether they've made the most of the opportunities they've been given. Together, we have the same mission. Over the course of your life, you will find that things are not always fair. You will find that things happen to you that you do not deserve and that are not always warranted. But you have to put your head down and fight, fight, fight. Never, ever, ever give up. Don't give in, don't back down, and never stop doing what you know is right. Nothing worth doing ever, ever, ever came easy. And the more righteous your fight, the more opposition that you will face. In your hearts are inscribed the values of service, sacrifice, and devotion. Now you must go forth into the world and turn your hopes and dreams into action.
The importance of having a positive attitude, taking risks, and persevering through setbacks will get you to your desired success. Keep listening as Donald Trump encourages you listeners to believe in yourselves and to pursue your dreams with passion and enthusiasm.
Gary Player, the great golfer, he was a little guy, very little, but he worked really hard. And he had a great statement, but he'd go, the harder I work, the luckier I get. And he wins the US Open. You have all these big, handsome guys, these big, giant guys, and they're hitting the ball a mile. And you have Gary Player. And Gary Player would win the Open. He'd win the Masters. He'd win this. He'd win that. And he said, hey, in the US Open, he hit a 5-iron to 1 foot from the hole, and he ended up getting a birdie and wins the US Open, right? And he came off the green. Now, I know I've heard the statement before, but I heard it from him in a meaningful way. They said, what do you think, Gary? What is it? He said, all I know is I've been working very hard, and the harder I work, the luckier I get. I thought it was an amazing statement. You want to be totally focused. You can't take your eye off the ball. When I had troubles in the early 90s, a major article came out, and it said very strongly, everything he touches turns to gold. And I believed it. Go out with models at night instead of working, but that wasn't good. And I remember I had a big lease coming up, and there was a big show, And I went to the show. I said, don't worry, fellas, you can handle the lease. You'll get it done. Well, I came back, they didn't get it done. And I would have had it done 100%. And then the market crashed in the 90s. So I had trouble. But it was sort of an amazing, I wouldn't want to do it again. It was an amazing test of yourself. Can you handle pressure? How are you under pressure? Are you smart? Never, ever give up. You can change and you can move around, but never, ever give up. I know people that are very smart. They went to the Wharton School of Finance with me. I know other people that aren't as smart, and those people are the top people in industry today, and they just were tougher. They didn't give up. And the smart ones had everything on their plate. They'd always come in with the A+ on the tests and the good boards and everything else. But when they ran into problems, they didn't know how to solve the problems like the guys that weren't as good. And it's very seldom that you see something other than this happen. Never, ever give up.
I love the game.
Everything I do, I see so much. I'll look at something, and that's what it was in my blood from the time I'm very young. I loved the creative process of building. Inflation has always been very good for real estate. But unfortunately, at the end, the whole thing pops. That's the bad part. And you haven't seen that yet, and hopefully you won't. Hopefully changes will be made, substantial changes, and you won't see that. But inflation is a good thing for real estate, not a bad thing.
Very good.
So I have to tell you, this inflation, but it's bad for other parts of the country, and it's very bad. Ultimately, it explodes. Inflation is wonderful until it all explodes, and you got to be careful of that. You have to watch it. I think real estate, Grant, is got to be part of a portfolio. It's been, first of all, there are tax advantages, depreciation. A lot of people, you'll look at a project and you'll have a loss. Now, not good for your ego, but it made money, but you don't pay tax, and it shows after depreciation you have a loss. A lot of times they'll analyze my stuff. They'll say, well, you lost money. I say, you lost money. But you're not losing money. In fact, that loss, you can carry it over to other jobs where you're making a profit. Real estate, from the standpoint of tax benefits, has been great. But I love the real estate business. I love the creativity of real estate. And I think I always will. Even as president, I'd say, boy, that's a great site for a building, right? To be a winner, you have to think like a winner. If you don't think like a winner, it's just never going to happen. Sometimes in life, to be successful, oftentimes, most of the time, you have to follow your instincts. You have to follow your gut. You have to. Your parents may say wrong, whoever may say wrong, but you have to do it. So much of success is seeing yourself as victorious. You have to see yourself. You have to really believe in yourself. And sometimes it's hard. You've had failures, you've had weaknesses, you've had other things. You have to see yourself as a one-man band. Don't rely too much on other people because they'll let you down. You have to see yourself as victorious.